I had big dreams that I wanted to achieve. The problem was, well, me. I know me. Who am I to think that I could be something special? Who am I to think that I could be some kind of big shot? I knew that I never could. But finally, one day, I realized who could. I am the Lizard King. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Who am I? I'm Jim Morrison. I always wanted to be the front man and lead singer of a band, so I started the Doors. I had the voice, the writing ability, even that elusive it factor it takes to be a rock star. But I just couldn't get it to come out. I lacked the confidence. So while my band would do shows, I would literally sing songs with my back to the audience. I couldn't face the audience until I became the Lizard King. What Jim Morrison did to overcome his stage fright was create the Lizard King. He created an ultra ego. An ultra ego is not about creating a false self. That would be an alter ego. An ultra ego is about stepping into the light of your true self. You find what's already in you and you shine a spotlight on it. It's not about being a different person. It's about you being the best version of you, because it is you. What you need to push forward, what you need to succeed, what you need to persevere, it's in you, and you know it's in you. So how do you get it out? You create an ultra ego. That's what Jim Morrison did. The Lizard King was his breakthrough. It allowed him to break on through to the other side and open doors for the Doors. But it's not just Jim Morrison. When Beyonce performs, do you know who she becomes? Sasha Fierce. If you know her backstory, she grew up singing in church, gospel music. But it wasn't until she was discovered and pushed out on the pop music stage that, well, do you think Beyonce Knowles could come out on stage and strut her stuff with confidence? She would tell you no. But Sasha Fierce, yes. Who does Marshall Mather perform as? Eminem. That's his rock star ultra ego. David Bowie's ultra ego was Ziggy Stardust. And Pitbull's real name? It's Pitbull. Who does that, right? Why would his parents name him Pitbull? Okay, it's not. Pitbull is the ultra ego for Armando Perez. All of these rock stars chose to create an ultra ego. And it was their ultra ego that propelled them to their breakthrough and allowed them to achieve their goals. Feeling stuck? You need to create an ultra ego. It worked for those rock stars, and it worked for me too. I grew up Mark Kamp, a poor Missouri farm boy. I called it misery, and I was destined to be a farmer. But I had a dream someday of being a famous hit radio DJ. I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to see my name in the Las Vegas lights. Don't believe me? Check out this video from 1982.
I've got a deep imagination that I would like to go out on the road sometime and travel across country providing entertainment, because if I can make somebody smile and have a good time, why, that gives me entertainment, personal satisfaction.
Could shy, tractor driving Mark Kamp do that? Well, maybe. But it was hard for me to imagine. So I took inventory of the skills I had at the current time, which were bark like a dog, do a siren, and a pretty good train whistle. Sometimes you have to toot your own horn. So what did I do? I created my own ultra ego, Marvelous Mark. Marvelous Mark had the voice, the charm, the style, the charisma, and the entertainment skills. So I stepped into this new version of myself, and I went down to the local radio station to apply for a job. And I bought a cow, just in case I didn't get the job. Kind of a farmer's starter kit 101. Hey, it was my backup cow. Mark Kamp would have never have had that kind of confidence. But Marvelous Mark, yes. He had so much confidence that he knew they would hire him on the spot. And guess what? Well, let's just say I'm glad I bought the cow. But they told me to come back next week and try again with a new demo reel. You see, when you get positive feedback from your ultra ego, it builds confidence and encourages you to push even further beyond your limits. So I did. Marvelous Mark did. He went back and he got the job, so he sold his cow. Bye-bye. Being a big fish in a small pond was okay for a while, but I wanted more. I knew I was going to have to take another leap of faith and step out of my comfort zone. So Marvelous Mark applied for a job at a major market radio station in the Detroit area, and he got it. But he knew that a radio DJ was not going to get him to Vegas. So he moved to Florida to start a corporate entertainment show. And he pushed himself way beyond his limits to open up as many doors as possible. Fast forward a few years through the blood, sweat, and tears of 4 million frequent flyer miles, touring 24 countries, and publishing his first book, he got his own show on the Las Vegas Strip. Mark Kamp would have never have been able to done that. But Marvelous Mark, yes, he was even named Entertainer of the Year. So I guess he went from farm boy to Las Vegas show boy. Oh boy. My point is this: ultra egos work. And if I can do it, you can too. The ultra ego is actually a proven form of overcoming self-doubt, negativity, and insecurity. There's a lot of science behind this. Creating an ultra ego is what psychologists refer to as self-distancing. It allows you to step back and step out of emotions that might be detrimental or holding you back. Rachel White is a psychology professor from Hamilton College, and she says that self-distancing gives us a little bit of extra space to think rationally about a situation. Creating an ultra ego helps reduce anxiety and increase self-confidence. Ethan Cross is a psychology professor from the University of Michigan, and he spent over a decade researching this and said that people who create an ultra ego gain control over self-defeating emotions. In one study, Ethan asked participants to give a speech, and they toured to give it not as themselves, but as the best version or a different version of themselves. And those that did found that they had lower heart rates, less anxiety, and lower blood pressure. Plus, they had more self-confidence and gave better presentations. What can an ultra ego do for you that your current self cannot? Change careers, get a promotion, start a business, be an amazing parent, climb Mount Everest, run a marathon, lose 20 pounds, move out of your parents' basement after 35 years. Don't join the woulda, shoulda, coulda club. I wish I would have done this, or I should have done this, or I could have been a contender if only. Don't let the woulda, shoulda, coulda club be your legacy. Create an ultra ego instead. Here's how you can start developing your ultra ego. You have to get crafty. Start crafting those special ultra ego characteristics that define your unique personality traits. Find those superpowers that are yet to be unleashed. Make a list of all the things that you cannot do, but your ultra ego can. And then be flexible if they don't work out along the way. Remember, I didn't get the job the first time. Next, you want to see the prize and visualize. Imagine a version of yourself with the audacity to achieve those big, unreasonable dreams. I knew that I wanted to end up in Vegas someday. But how? I visualized my name, Marvelous Mark, in the Las Vegas lights, and my ultra ego led me there. You might be afraid to pursue those big dreams, but your ultra ego is not. Visualize stepping into your ultra ego, stepping into the light of your true self. And finally, you have to build on the bold. Start testing it. Get out there and put your ultra ego to the test. Start with small, bold challenges, and then let the failures and feedback along the way be your ultra ego GPS. Practice and rehearse this new you version, this new ultra ego version of yourself. And then slowly and boldly unleash it into the world. And watch the walls come tumbling, crumbling down. What can your ultra ego do for you that your current self cannot? Anything at once.